Sanford and Son was led by the funniest character to ever hit the TV screen, Fred Sanford.
Hey, let's go back to that word game again. All right. All right. Fist. Oh, wait, not Miss Sanford.
But besides Fred, the show was full of fan-favorite characters such as Aunt Esther.
My church is raising money for our youth program. We want to buy a wing.
Well, let him have one of yours, Bat.
Watch it, sucker.
The goofy and lovable Grady Wilson.
There was Dorothy and Toto and the Wicked Witch of the Watts. Oh!
No doubt the coolest character of the 70s and beyond, Rollo Lawson.
Most cats cut out when they 16, and you got to cut out sometime. How old are you?
31.
What you waiting on, Medicare?
The cast was so good, we can talk for hours and not even come close to covering half of them. But are there a couple of guys that could have climbed to the top of that fan favorite list and even surpassed Aunt Esther? Unfortunately, we will never get the chance to know, but we can discuss it and see if we can convince you that Leroy and Skillet are the greatest characters on the show behind Fred Sanford, and we have the proof.
Yeah! That's you right. Ain't Mr. Comedy, you're Mr. Tragedy.
So sit back for a bit as we break down the duo's appearances, their best moments, and their lasting impact, and how the two's disappearance from the show is the biggest travesty in Sanford and Son's history. Before we get into their brief time on the show, let's see how the team came together into existence. Leroy Daniels started his entertainment career with his quick feet and amazing voice. Leroy started as a singer and dancer while shining shoes. He quickly made a name for himself, which even led to a song written all about him, titled Chattanooga Shoeshine Boy. And that song turned out to be the #1 hit for country music that year. Ironically, it was performed by singer Red Foley, and this wouldn't be the last time someone named Red would have an impact on Leroy's life. Leroy was moving up in the entertainment world, appearing in the 1953 musical The Bandwagon, alongside Fred Astaire. They would even dance together. In the 60s, Leroy would team up with another successful comic, Ernest Skillet Mayhand. Skillet, like Leroy, made a name for himself on his own and early in his career. Skillet was part of a comedy act titled Pots, Pans, and Skillet, and while performing, he created a style of clothes that you almost certainly heard of, the zoot suit. The black community in Chicago and Detroit were very fond of them, and the style caught on. But when jazz singer Cab Calloway started wearing them, the popularity went through the roofs. And who's responsible for all this? None other than Skillet himself.
I'm not tired. I'm exhausted. You're getting old, Skillet. Let me at the young blood.
The new team of Leroy and Skillet would take the comedy scene by storm, dropping several comedy albums and gaining popularity for their raunchy style. The duo even went on to appear in a movie together that same decade, in Handle with Care in 1964. They even took on a third partner for a while, her name, LaWanda Page.
My Bible says, be not drunk with wine.
What do you say about scotch?
The trio would go on to do their own comedy album together, and it was so raunchy, it would put the great Aunt Esther to shame. It wasn't long before LaWanda Page joined Fox in Sanford and Son. Red had success in bringing his comedy partners and friends onto the show. Great characters such as Melvin, Bubba, Aunt Esther. They were all old buddies and former comedy partners of Red, and he knew it was time to bring in the duo with the high energy and powerful voices.
Well, would you look who's here? Hello, Fred. Look, Skillet, it's Fred. Hello, Fred.
But how did Red know the team? Where did he meet Leroy and Skillet, you might ask? Well, in the 1940s and 50s, they were all entertainers for the Chitlin circuit. In fact, Skillet used to be the opening act for Leroy, LaWanda, and Red himself. So Red wasn't unfamiliar with the talent that the comedy duo had. So in 1973, Leroy and Skillet made their debut on Sanford and Son. Unfortunately, it was alongside Lena Horne and the great John Amos. So some fans forget this is actually their first appearance.
Lena! Yeah! Oh, yeah! It's really Lena. It's her all over.
Who are these, little Lamont's little playmates?
Their next appearance might actually be their best, at least for Leroy, as they shined in their interaction with Fred in the Chinese restaurant.
What you trying to do? Hide? Oh, I get it. A little like cucaracha time.
Just 2 episodes for the pair in season 2, but their last was so comical, fans were excited to see what was next for the duo and Fred. We didn't have to wait long for their next appearance. Season 3, Episode 4. Now they not only stole the scene, but they became one of the main quotes of one of the most popular episodes.
Yeah, that's you right. Ain't Mr. Comedy, you Mr. Tragedy.
The 3 Degrees were the star of the episode, but the best scenes belonged to Leroy and Skillet, leaving us fans wondering, when will we see more? Almost 2 months later, we got the return of Leroy and Skillet. In an episode you feel like it was almost written just to include the comedy team. A house is not a pool room.
Hey Fred, you out of scotch?
You out of your mind. I had a whole bottle of scotch.
Huh?
I had a whole bottle of scotch in that cabinet.
That's what I'm saying. You had a whole bottle, but now you out.
Once again, stealing the scenes and making the episode theirs. At this point, the great Leroy and Skillet had been in 4 episodes, and 3 would go on to be some of the highest rated and fan favorites. And Leroy and Skillet might be 2 of the biggest reasons why. Just 2 episodes later, the pair would be back in perhaps one of the greatest episodes in show history, Wine, Women, and Aunt Esther.
I can do the Susie Q. Bam, leave out the boom, bam. If I can do it, so can you.
Like the previous appearance, this episode feels like it was created just to get Leroy and Skillet more time on the screen. And the opening scene shows previous comic legends from working the Chitlin circuit, Red, LaWanda, Dawn, Leroy and Skillet, a historic moment for the comedy and black community.
Say, anybody know what Junior died of?
Nobody knows. He was always sort of a hypochondriac.
You mean an alcoholic?
Perhaps the greatest part about this episode, we see another side of the two, as they sing and dance and show just a few of their many other talents.
How we used to do the Lindy Hop? Who? I invented it. What's this? Go ahead.
This episode went down as one of the highest rated and is constantly brought up by fans. And then, just like that, it was over. Leroy and Skillet would never be cast in a Sanford & Son show again. And to this day, us fans are still asking the question, why? Why would an entertaining and comedic duo with this kind of chemistry be removed from a show that was taking over television? Throughout the years, there had been many rumors about why the two were never asked back. So let's break down each rumor and try to figure out which one might actually be the reason why. And maybe Skillet's actual son could even shed some light on it. The first rumor we'll cover, Red had a falling out with Leroy and Skillet, possibly over a woman. This is most likely false, seeing how Red was married in 1973 and didn't separate until a year later. There could be a bit of truth to the argument though, seeing how Fred said himself in season 4, Leroy had a fight with him because he said Fred was always arguing. So that could have even been a heads up to the audience, who keep asking, where is Leroy and Skillet? Another rumor that holds some merit, that because Red was on strike, the duo refused to be on the show, possibly like Bubba, until Red returned. Then when Red returned, NBC decided they were not needed, even more so with the popularity of Grady. The final reason, and most likely, both parties just moved on. Season 4 had a lot of Grady, but not many scenes where Leroy and Skillet would be needed. So with that, they were just never called back to appear on the show. while Leroy and Skillet would continue to take their act out on the road. With the popularity from the show, they would go on to produce another record in 1974, which coincidentally coincided with season 4. So odds are that both sides just moved on. And the proof in that? It lies in the answer of Skillet's own son, Ivan Mahan. When I was able to ask him on social media, he said they were just glad to be on the show. So going through the duo's timeline and the comment by Skillet's son, it's safe to say the split was mutual. 5 episodes in all for the tandem, yet it feels so much more than that. The fact that the duo is always brought up when talked about for favorite characters shows the everlasting impact they had on all the fans. Appearing in nearly 10 times more episodes, Aunt Esther is always praised as the queen of comedy on the show. But we would have to wonder if Leroy and Skillet could overtake her throne as comedy royalty on Sanford and Son had the pair been given just half the amount of episodes that Esther was in.
Let's go, Skillet. Let's let Fred and the Senora enjoy their dinner. Adios, you two.
Please be sure to comment below on your thoughts, your favorite Leroy and Skillet moments, and could they have ever surpassed Aunt Esther? Thanks a lot. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe.